Hi, my name is Alan. I'm a founder and CEO of Duplex, and I'm probably known in the Lithuanian startup community as the oldest guy in the Lithuanian startup community. So, when I was invited here, my first reaction was to probably reject the offer because I don't think I have a lot to tell about fundraising as such. But then I thought that I actually thought a lot about, do we need to raise money? When we need to raise money? And that a lot of thought went into that process, and that's maybe what I wanted to share with you today. Yeah, so let's start with the definition. So if you are a web developer and you came here to hear about Bootstrap, the web development framework, I'm sorry to disappoint you. Any web developers up here? No? Okay, so this won't be about the Bootstrap. The framework, this will be about bootstrapping as a way to develop your startup without getting external funding from venture capitalists and such. So a couple of examples just from the top of my head of companies that were bootstrapped either fully or at least for some meaningful time when they got big and then they raised money. So quite interesting names on the list, and not something that you see every day, and not everyone has to raise the money. From our personal story, so I've launched a Duplex as a solo founder back in early 2011. Then by the end of 2011, I've reached a break-even point where I was self-sustainable and I wanted to hire another person. And at that point, I thought, well, I have a little bit of money, but not enough to make me comfortable hiring some person and promising them a steady salary or something. So I thought maybe we need to raise money. And I've actually talked to some venture capitalists at that point. But after all, I decided to ask my good friend to invest a little bit of his own money to give us that cushion. So it's not as scary to hire someone and promise them salary. Then a year later, we were 2 people and we're back to black again. We can even call it slightly profitable. We had a little bit of money, so we could hire another person. And then, I was at the crossroads. My thinking was, we can either go hire a sales guy who will help us increase our sales. Then we make a little bit more money. We hire another developer, then another developer, etc. Or we can go look for funding and expand more rapidly. And my actual train of thought was, okay, so today is Friday. On Monday, I will start thinking deeply about it. And right the same Friday, I get an email from Practica Capital. Let's talk about funding. And I said, well, maybe that's a sign from above. If I was just planning to think about it, and I get an email about getting some funding, so maybe we should do it. So that's what we actually did, and by mid-2013 we've raised money, and right now we are again back to black, profitable. We have 20 people on our team, and we're actually looking to expand a bit more, and this time without raising any money. So if you want to deal with top-notch, top-level app and game development companies, or you are a top-notch .NET developer yourself, please join us. Talk to me later or just visit our jobs page. So yeah, enough about us. Let's talk about you. So these are my assumptions about you. So is this kind of close to right? So let's say it is. So if this is close to right, this brings us directly to the first reason not to seek money right away, because no one will give it to you. So if you don't have any credibility in the business world or any other way, you cannot raise any money unless there's pure luck with your idea, your business plan, or your PowerPoint deck. This is a an excerpt from a recent post from Jason Calacanis, a prominent entrepreneur, angel investor, podcast host, etc. So, and this is for Silicon Valley. So over here, it's even a little bit more difficult. So if you don't have a product And even more, you don't have any like initial traction. I don't think it's worth your time to waste it on seeking venture funding. You are better off spending that time on working on your product, which is the reason number 2. Fundraising actually takes a lot of time, and you are better off spending it on your product. For us, even though I didn't go on any fundraising tour, I just, got an offer from Practica, and we worked, the details of the deal. It anyway took me 3 to 4 months of my time to finish it off, and even though it wasn't like a full-time occupation, it is actually hard to do anything else when you're in that process. Yeah, and once you have the product and you have the traction, it's actually way, way easier to raise the money. So that was the case in our case when we actually didn't even look for the money when we got an offer. And if our case is not like credible enough, the same happened to Vinted, which is also, investors see traction and they come to you, not you go. It's not like you have to beg them for money. So let's switch gears a little bit. So how not having the money can help you. So if you don't have the money, you will be forced to think about your product right from the start, about the business side of your product right from the start. And if you're building something social, that's maybe a bad thing because you need to get to massive scale before you are interesting to anyone. But let's be honest, not many of those products are made over here in our neck of the woods. So I think that's a good thing most of the time. Again, if you don't have the money, you will not buy TV ads or any other crap that costs a lot of money but is not actually very effective. You will be forced to think about creative ways to market your product, any partisan activities that will help you market your product for free, find users for free, and quite often it's actually even more effective than things that you can buy for money. If you don't have the money, you will not spend it on the lease for your posh office, and you will not have Hennessy XR product launch parties. You will learn to treasure every cent, and this will help you once you have the money. If you think about why did you become an entrepreneur, it's quite often being my own boss is quite high on that list of the reasons why are you doing this. And even though investors are not like your bosses per se, but it's not a secret that all the money comes with some strings attached, with some requirements, with some terms and conditions. So even if you take the money, you should be aware that you should think about your interests and your investors' interests. Are those aligned? For example, in our case, I've actually, even though I didn't go on fundraising tour, I've had a privilege to talk to a lot of investors, and in most cases, they are looking for that mythical, billion-dollar company, and we are not a billion-dollar company. I know that, they know that, and for most of them, that's a showstopper. But for me, I don't want, let's say we have a, I don't know, whatever, $50 million company, which is not interesting to those who are looking for a billion-dollar company. But for me, that's okay. And this is what I want to build. And I don't want to ruin a good thing by trying to make it something that it's not. So, when I would talk to Practica and I told them this, and they were okay with it, I was fine with it. But if you think one way, and your investors think that you need to build a billion-dollar company or rather die, you have to be mindful about that. And another thing, so last year was the first in more than 10 years when I had a steady salary. That's a good thing if you compare it to bad months that I have had in the past. But if you compare it to a good month, it's kind of depressing sometimes. So that's also, goes with thinking about being your own boss. And one more thing is that if you have someone else's money, sometimes you will be forced to, to try longer than you would actually want to. Even in the Lithuanian startup community, I think there are quite several startups who probably already know that they are going nowhere, but they still have the money in the bank, and instead of starting something new and something more exciting, they are forced to try and try and try, and maybe something good will come out of it, but probably it would be better for everyone if they just do something else, start a new project, which could be awesome. Yeah, so that's like a brief list. Maybe I've convinced you, maybe I didn't, but even if I did, you would say, yeah, okay, so how do I do this? So definitely there is no recipe that you can just use, add water and be successful without investor money, but I can give you some ideas. So the first thing I think that many people do when they decide to start a startup, they think, okay, I will quit my job, I will do my startup and do some freelancing on the side. So from what I saw, it's actually way more difficult to do this than to stay at your 9-to-5 job and do startup on the weekend or at night. Because once you get into making money as a freelancer, you kind of get addicted, or you don't. It's very hard to have that discipline to this is my startup time, this is my freelancing time. Also, obviously, you need to do this upfront, but if you can make some way to some stream of money that's coming to your account, even if it's not big, without you doing anything, that is awesome. So in my personal case, I was a part of an awesome product called IMCharts. So the product is doing phenomenally, but my part of it was not doing as well as the rest of it, but it was doing good enough that I was able to live off of that for the first year of a duplex, and had to dedicate maybe 2 hours a week to support of my product that brought me money. I mean, in your case, ideas to think about is like maybe you have a nice knitting block that you can slap some AdSense on and make 100 a month or something like that. Or you have a recipe book that you can sell on Amazon. Or you have some apps that are nothing awesome, but they are zero maintenance and they can bring you a few cents, few euros, a few hundreds a month. And this can go a long way into supporting your bootstrap startup. So if you are not a technical founder, become one, or find a co-founder who is technical. I was lucky enough that I'm a developer myself, and I didn't have to do it at the first step, but I was actually unlucky when I wanted to find later on a co-founder who was also technical, and I actually failed at that, and that was the reason why I had to find some money to hire someone. Also, when you're starting up, you may have crazy ideas about hiring I don't know, SEO agency or someone to do your social marketing. You can actually do it yourself. You should do it yourself. You can make your own coffee and you can fix your own printer. It's not that hard. And one of the best things you can do is help your customers fund you. That you will be forced to do that, but you can actually be more creative than just asking them to do that. In our personal case, what we did in the first year, we've asked our customers, give us $3,000 and we will give you $1,000 each month for the next year to advertise. So we gave them actually 75% discount, which was an awesome deal for them, but it gave us invaluable cash in the beginning of the process. So that helped us tremendously. Also, startups are all the rage now, and all the big companies want to, attract startups to their platforms. And Microsoft has Bespark, Amazon and Google have something like that. And in our case, we were part of Bespark Plus program, which helped us save more than $100,000 on hosting. So, and that was actually the big cost of our early stage, and even now it's a big part of the cost. Our cost is hosting cost because a lot of traffic goes through us, and this Spark Plus gave us basically $120,000 in free services. So you can definitely take advantage of that. And finally, obviously, you can always resort to maxing out your credit cards or doing something like that. So if you are a developer in the current climate, I think you can afford the risk of getting some personal debt, because if you fail, you will just go and get a job like that in 20 seconds. So you will be able to repay it. And also, if you have wealthy friends or relatives, you can ask them to invest in you. But this is very important, that you have to be sure that they understand what they are getting into, that it's not a loan for you to buy a kebab making machine that you will, at the worst case scenario, sell to someone else. So make sure that they understand what they're getting into, and only then take their money. But all in all, I think it's important to remember that investment money is a tool, and every tool is best when it's used at the right time and for the right purpose. So thank you. And if you, I don't know, do we have time for questions? What do we?
Thanks a lot.
Any questions?
Well, can I ask, when you stick to Windows platform and Windows phones,
yeah.
I mean, are you going to continue with that and try to maximize your share of Windows Phone advertising, or are you going to move out of this into Android or iOS, whatever?
That's actually a good question in this context. So in order to move out somewhere, we would need to raise about, I would say, at least like $30 million right away, if we want to be in any way competitive in those markets. So the answer is I don't want to raise $30 million. I want to stick and be #1 where we are now, and rather than go and fight like Don Quixote with a toothbrush to speak against lightsabers. Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot again. So.
Thank you very much. My short question is this: you were very much focusing on this money aspect of investment, of attracting investor into the business. In your opinion, how important and how beneficial is this another important part of investment, the expertise of investors, the opportunity of them to boost, to speed up the growth of your business? Thank you.
Yeah. I think if you can get investors who are valuable to you in anything else than money, then it's awesome. But the question is, can you? And in our case, I mean, it depends on what you actually do. If there are a lot of people who do that, then maybe that's an option for you. But I think more often than not, if you get someone who is credible in the area you are working in, they will probably kick you out and take the control of maybe not kick you out, but they will, together with expertise comes, strong opinion, and I know how to do that. You're just a kid, get out. move to the side. I don't know. But it's, if you find synergy that can help you, it's obviously awesome. But if you're going to, raise money in Lithuania, yes, Ilya Lars will be here today, and he's a good expert in mobile industry. That's probably a good match if you are doing that. But in any case, it's your business, and if they help you, it's good. If they cannot help you, you just need to understand it upfront. In our case, with Practica, anyone from Practica here? No, but it's recording. Anyway, but we had a good understanding with them that they cannot help us directly in other forms than money, maybe with general stuff, but not in our immediate market. And you just look at it, you understand that that's the case, and you do the best you can with the situation you have.
Okay, well, thanks a lot, Alan.
Thank you.